I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Peabody City Council Finance Committee meeting. Present for the committee this evening, Councilors Gould.
And to continue that along.
And Councilor Gould.
The transfer from account number 270-0000-33022 in the amount of $22,600
of emergency management. And really, certainly, as the world has changed and we've now been in the pandemic era, it's a team approach to emergency management. It can't just be put in the hands of one person. As you all know, but we're some health inspectors. The IT department has become extremely important in making sure we're protected, and we've spoken about that in the past. And also our police department, of course. So more and more, it's become more of a team approach that we have to take here. And I'm just looking to have language in the amendment that will allow us to add to that team, and no more than $10,000 would be the maximum amount. But I envision that it would be comprised of our emergency management director, our fire chief, police chief, or somebody from the police department, somebody from our IT department, certainly Sharon Cameron and representatives of the health department. All that would be worked out in the future as we take these necessary steps. But we wanted to have the ordinance language in effect so that we can go more towards the team approach. Happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Questions from the committee. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know, Mr. Chairman, you called me earlier to see if I had any concerns, and I didn't have any, but just something, I was looking at it earlier, and I wanted to ask the mayor, and I support this 100%. The only thing I'm curious about is the emergency management assistance at $10,000 each. Right now, they would be tied to specific positions, or you have specific positions in mind, I should say. But my concern is, what happens if down the road these positions are appointed to individuals who aren't employed by the city? Does that then trigger retirement and benefits? I think it's about anything above $5,000 would trigger that. So similar to the position we have on the books, which is what is that position? It was Brian Barrett. Mayor, remind me of the position.
Yeah, the assessor's office.
Board of Assessors,
yep.
right, as $13,000, which triggers benefits and retirement. I would be concerned that if these aren't in the future tied to a specific position that's already has benefits and pension, then some mayor in the future could potentially give those to 4 people and trigger benefits and retirement. So.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. What I am envisioning certainly would be internal at this point, and those people would be brought to you, the City Council, for approval. But yes, anything over $5,000 could potentially trigger retirement and benefits, health insurance from health, representative from police and fire. But that could, if I came and wanted to go in a different direction, I have to present it to all of you first, and that could trigger those additional benefits, but I don't intend to do that.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it.
Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, through you to the mayor, are these 4?
Be it ordained by the Peabody City Council of the City of Peabody as follows. Section 1, the ordinance is establishing a compensation and classification plan is hereby amended as follows. The Code of the City of Peabody, as adopted on January 23rd, 1969, and amended, is hereby further amended by deleting from Section 1820 the ordinance establishing a compensation and classification plan entitled Schedule of Compensation for Part-Time Positions. Position effective July 1, 2019, 9,484, 2% effective July 1st, 2020, 9,674, 2% effective 1st of July 2021, and substituting, therefore, the following upper limit of annual compensation: emergency management director, $15,000, emergency management assistants, $10,000.
Mr. Chairman, you took all the dirty work away from me. Thank you. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion by Councilor Gould. On the motion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilors Gould, Manning Martin,
Yes.
Turco,
Yes.
Rozignol,
Yes.
Melville, McGinn.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you, Council, I appreciate that. The next item is Section 1821, rates of compensation for full-time positions not subject to collective bargaining. We've really made an effort over the years, particularly very recently, to try to standardize our salaries. We've been looking at positions, tried to compare work to try to make those positions more similar in terms of salary. And certainly I've come to you in the past a couple times, over the years, with specific requests for certain salaries that I thought were, certain positions that I thought their salary was a little bit out of whack and needed an adjustment. I've done that in the past, and I don't take that lightly, because I know those are always very, difficult votes, or votes that, you need explanation on. And in doing so, this time, I wanted to bring forward 4 positions for your consideration to increase their salaries. And I think they're all positions, all people who you know extremely well and know their work very well. Happy to expound upon any of the specifics to their work, but certainly I think they're all work that you know extremely well. What we tried to do is, again, standardize these where they're similar salaries based upon what we believe to be similar type of supervisory work, challenges that each of these departments face. So the ones I want to bring forward to you today were for the golf course, Peter Cronin, to move that salary up to $90,000. I think it's slightly over $90,000. Also, the assistant golf course manager, Jean Quigley, to move her salary up to $61,000. Our veterans agent, Steve Patton, to slightly over $90,000, and Joanne Roden, our Brooksby Farm manager, up to $90,000, slightly over $90,000 as well. We felt that those positions, as we reviewed, deserved some consideration for an increase, and we tried to, again, really look at the jobs and try to match the salaries and try to make more sense to present to all of you. Just to give you an idea, right now, we're requesting the assistant golf course manager position to be the same level as the assistant farm manager position at $61,438. That just gives you an idea. We're trying to make it a little bit more understandable and standardized as to supervisors, assistant supervisors, and working off that. So happy to, again, expound upon job duties, responsibilities, but I certainly think all of you know these positions and the work they do very well. We're lucky to have these 4 individuals who've been taking on some challenging work over, in particularly the last couple of years. So happy to answer any questions on this request.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Questions from the committee? Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions, but I just want to say that the 4 people, in my opinion, are very strong, valuable workers for the city. I've personally worked with all of them on different events and different items, and I follow the mayor's recommendation and would be in full support. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I as well am happy to see you're reviewing for equity and fairness in salaries in these positions. I'm curious, that you've only found 4. Have you reviewed every position, every management position? And I ask that because 2 really jump out at me after the past year and a half that we've had, that a couple of employees, department heads, have really taken a lot of burden from the pandemic, and that would be the Director of Public Health, and our city clerk has taken a major load with all the stress and additional workload that came with the pandemic, with Zoom, when we speak of the clerk, with Zoom meetings and the the way the elections have had to have been held and voting. It's just a whole new world, and it's been a lot of work. And then we also, they've been holding things together for us. And then in addition, I know as well, and shame on me, for not noticing sooner that the city clerk's office, I mean, she works directly, she reports directly to the city council, and that there has been a position in there that's been open for some time, an assistant clerk's position, during a time when that office really needs some help. So if you could take a look at those things, or if you have any comments to those things, and I really would hope that we would backfill that assistant clerk's position in order to get that office some help, as you know how big. So if you had any comments or...
Great, thank you, Counselor. Terrific points. Sharon Cameron, I don't know if she's really done too much for us lately. I'm not sure about that one. But certainly our city clerk. Seriously, I think those are two excellent examples. This is, I anticipate that I'll be coming back again. This was some review work we did that we felt we wanted to move on. But I think there will be others. So that's definitely will be two that we look at, and I think there'll be other positions as well as we try to, again, make more sense of these. So it's, clearer what the salaries are depending on what type of responsibilities you have. So yeah, I think we'll be back. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, and if I may, and if I could just stress again the assistant clerk's position, if we have any postings that will be made, if you could focus on that, that would be great. Thank you.
I think that's palatable, but for the record, the 16% and the 15%, and I don't know if that happens because we have let this go on so long. We talk about that in various positions, even, quite frankly, when it comes to your position, Mr. Mayor, sometimes we don't give you raises, and then all of a sudden we have a big bump, and I think you deserve it. But I hate to see making $90,000, and I do appreciate the work they do, but, there'd be many people out in the private sector who would be happy to make $90,000. And I just think I'm concerned about that. The other thing that also, as I totally understand why you were trying to align certain positions, and I'm not so sure I agree with your philosophy of how, positions should align with other positions based upon the different duties. So I don't necessarily agree with you that, the farm manager should make the same as the veterans manager, the golf course facilities manager. Maybe the golf course facilities manager and the farm manager make sense, but the veterans agent, I don't see the roles, unless there's maybe, you look at it as how many reporting people they have and things of that nature, but I don't do that. I don't see that connection. What would help me, and maybe my fellow councilors, is when you make the recommendation, you put in your verbiage, you say, quote, these changes will make these positions more competitive with similar positions in other communities. I wish you had provided a chart to show me a municipal golf course and other municipal golf courses and what they're making. We do that a lot of times when, I know that down when, like I said, our raises are tied to your raises. And when those come up every year, the newspapers print it, and I think whoever puts together, they put the package and they show what the various councilors make, what the various mayors make. And I think we're getting a little bit lazy here when we say these changes will make these positions more competitive with similar positions, because all I can do is take your word. But I think it helps to have that documentation to back that up. So maybe the Gannon golf course manager's making over in Lynn, or, I'm not a golfer, but there are obviously other public facilities. And I'm just using that because that comes to the top of my head, but I don't know what a farm manager makes. I don't know how many farms there are in other cities and towns that are lucky to have it like us. But I just share that with you. Please take it for what it's worth. But I do think when you say it makes it more competitive, I think it'd be more helpful if you could give some further documentation in the future. Thank you.
I just want to thank you. Again, I'll take that for what it's worth. I just completely disagree with your statements, and we've had this discussion before, Counselor, and I just completely disagree with your position on this. And I want to make it clear that these salaries are not $90,000; they're $77,000 right now. So I want to make sure it's very clear what the salaries are making now, which is still a very good salary. However, I think these positions deserve more. And the veterans agent salary is linked to other salaries of different departments here in the city. Certainly, Council, you got this Friday. If you had questions or needed specifics, could have been just an email or a phone call, and I could have provided that to you. And those are all public record, other salaries in other cities. You have that opportunity to go on any website and look up people's salaries as well in other communities. Each golf course is different in terms of when they're open, when they close, their hours, what they provide. So it's not a one-to-one comparison in terms of the golf course. These 4 positions, I think, deserve an increase. That's what I'm here to provide. Thank you for your comments.
Councilor Sasslaw.
So just a point of clarification. So I understand that right now, 85, 78, 77, and 55, those are the current positions. But if the ordinance is approved, 3 out of the 4 jobs will become $90,000, and that's retroactive to July 21st of this year. Is that correct, just so I understand that?
Yes, earlier you stated that they were 90, they were all 90,000. I didn't, right now they're not 90,000, that's what I'm asking for. So they would, yeah, would be retroactive to July 1st, 2021.
Right, and that's why I said 90,000, because I'm assuming it's going to probably pass, and that's what they will become. One of them is $61,000. And yes, you know, Mr. Mayor, you know, I could go on and do some digger deeping and fact-finding, but, you know, just, you know, take it for what it's worth, as I said. It just sometimes helps when you have a reference. Maybe, you know, it might make, you know, the decision easier. But yes, certainly I could do the work, but it's also helpful when you're coming and you're looking for certain amounts of monies and increases and things of that nature. It does help also to have some some position. But I hear you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sasslaw. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think typically we're asked to not kind of tie these in with specific names, but just the position itself. But I think in this case, it's warranted. I think, you know, the 4 names you mentioned, myself, I'm not a golfer. I go to Tilly's Farm every so often, probably not as much as I could, but I do have a lot of friends that golf, a lot that speak extremely high of us in the work that Peter Cronin does. I have friends that frequent Tilly's Farm, and I think it's fitting to tie them into the names in this case. And I do support the raises. I understand Council Saslaw's point. They, you know, if you're looking at the blanket number, that's for us to deal with, I guess, because we know the work that these people have put in. So I could more than happily back up my decision to vote for those raises. So I do support them. And my only question for you, Mayor, is these positions, were those also budgeted in the past with the 2021-22 budget?
Yes, they have been budgeted.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Title Rates of Compensation for Full-Time Employees, January 23rd, 1969, and amended, is hereby further amended by deleting from Section 18-21 the ordinance establishing a compensation and classification plan for full-time positions. Positions are golf course facilities manager, assistant golf course facilities manager, farm manager, and veterans agent. There is a matrix of compensations. I'm going to read those compensations by year. 2% effective July 1st, 2019, $74,684, $53,601, $82,063, $75,065. 2% effective 1st of July 2020, $76,178, $54,673, $83,704, $76,566, and 2% effective July 1st, 2021, $77,702, $55,766, $85,378, $78,097, and substituting, therefore, the following upper limit of annual compensation. Positions are golf course facilities manager, assistant golf course facilities manager, farm manager, and veterans agent, effective July 1, 2021, $90,000, $87, $61,438, $90,087, and $90,087.
I'll move, Mr. Chairman.
Councilors, you heard the motion from Councilor Gould. On the motion, seeing none, roll call.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, could I have one moment before we go to the next item? We can just have 1 minute.
Sure, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Chairman.
Next item on the agenda is item C, resolution adopting tax incremental financing agreement and submission to the Economic Assistance Coordinating Council for Farm Street Real Estate LLC, 2 Washington Street. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm here today just to really do a mea culpa and ask for some housekeeping matters on the agreement.
Been reviewed by the subject?
Yes. Yep, we've met multiple times with Mr. Greeley and his team, our attorney Don Kahn on our end, as well as lawyers from the state, from the Economic Council, Coordinating Council, Economic Assistance Coordinating Council. And there were some things that they required to be in the document that we had discussed at the last meeting, but everybody's fully aware of the terms. And the dollars do not change.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council Manning Martin. Council Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Allison. Allison, you're comfortable on all the changes that the mayor is addressing? Just for the record.
Somebody is going to read the resolution to the record, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I can provide those to you, Madam Clerk.
Council Gould, just on your question, I know you directed that to the clerk. I did do a kind of a detailed review of the before and after, and it's precisely as the mayor has articulated this evening.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did work on that, and you were very helpful in making sure that it was very clear, these changes, so thank you.
Council Shrest.
Thank you, Chairman. The reasoning for the changing of wordings, I know in contracts, you know, some small words, shall and may, make a big difference. Really is no, as you said, no difference in it, but why the terminology different? Through the chair to the mayor, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we felt that there weren't any dramatic changes to this. It really, the core of it, the heart of it, was the same. The state did insist on a couple of some language that still remain. There was one item, Councilor Turco, I remember you brought it forward, and I agreed with you on it. There seemed to be a couple of provisions that seemed to be at odds with one another, but the state required us to keep those in. I think there were provision 1 and provision 2. So there were some things that the state required, but we worked through those, and everybody was comfortable. I think we're okay moving forward.
But, thank you, Mayor. But is it just because of a certain department, or why was it so insistent of the changing of the words? It must have been something one department looks at than others. Just curious.
Do you mean the special tax agreement, assessment agreement becoming the TIF? There are 2 different types of agreement that they utilize at the state level, and quite frankly, I was wrong. And what I presented to you was a TIF, and a TIF is really just what this is. It's not on what the current property is. It's tax relief on the value that's added to the property as the work is being done. That's the definition of tax increment financing, and I've certainly learned that now. A special tax assessment agreement is different. It functions. What I presented.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And only after the last meeting, someone asked me a question, and you just tapped on it a little bit. And I'll take the opportunity now to ask you, when you said the state had conversations with you about making it to the area of the city, never mind another than sharing the wealth with different individuals and groups and parties.
Yeah, it's really utilized for economic target areas. So, you know, I know that certainly our downtown is one. There's other areas of the city, I think in Centennial Park and on the highways and things that potentially would qualify as well. And the one that I remember I looked at very closely previously, it's the only other one that we really looked at closely, at least that I looked at closely, was in Centennial Park, and it just didn't quite fit. But so there are certain areas of the city, I think it's more directed to those areas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Shrestha. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion if there's no further questions. I'll defer to Councilor O'Neill.
Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, I'm not a member of this committee, but just wanted to make sure I understood. In summation, I fully supported what we agreed to last meeting, the concept of giving the tax credits. I just wanted to clarify the new agreements that we have, the tax increment finance agreement that will be signed by the mayor and Mr. Greeley, and then of course the resolution would be approved by the council. As I understand it correctly, based on the press release you sent us, the administration and the I should get it right, the EACC board, they've approved this, they basically approved the investment tax credit, because as of right now, these agreements weren't actually finalized. Am I getting that correctly? We still have to dot the I's and cross the T's and then say this is what we're agreeing to. They were approving the tax credits. I want to make sure I understand correctly.
Yeah, thank you. That's an excellent point. I want to make sure we're clear on that. So they meet every 3 months. So that's why we had scheduled at the end of September. They weren't going to meet until the end of December, and probably would have been kicked off till January. So we wanted to try to move forward. But the understanding was that they would vote on the, you know, we spoke about, and I wanted to bring it forward to you to make sure I cleared and explain my mistake.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. Any other councilors? Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve the following resolution adopting tax increment financing agreement and submission to the Economic Assistance Coordinating Council for Farm Street Real Estate LLC. Whereas the City of Peabody is part of the designated Peabody Economic Area and Farm Street Real Estate LLC, Chapter 23A, 3E, increment financing for Farm Street Real Estate LLC Act. At no time shall the exemption exceed 100%. 6, all tax incentive financing agreements negotiated by the TIFNAC financing agreement shall be binding on all subsequent owners of the property certified by the Economic Assistance Coordinating Council, EACC. The City of Peabody reserves the right to review and negotiate and renegotiate the tax increment financing agreement and seek decertification of the project by the EACC if the business activity ceased to be fully operational during the life of the tax increment financing agreement or upon failure of the owner to fulfill its material obligations as specified in the tax increment financing agreement. A copy of 8, a copy of the adopted tax increment financing plan shall be forwarded to the Massachusetts Economic Assistance Coordinating Council for its approval. 9, the effective date of this tax increment financing plan shall be today's date, October 14th, 2021. And 10, the City Council President is hereby authorized to execute and implement the tax increment financing plan adopted this, the 14th day of October 2021, by vote of the City Council of the City of Peabody. Council President Mark J. O'Neill and City Clerk Allison Danforth.
Councilors, you heard the motion by Councilor Turco. On the motion, seeing none, roll call.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Council.
Mr. Mayor, I think, so if you go to item 6 of the resolution, all tax increment financing agreements negotiated by the TIFNAC shall be made part of this tax incremental finance plans by a vote of the city council. I think we need that vote as well on the agreement, just to,
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
so understanding that, council is in the interest of time, I would accept the motion to approve the tax increment finance agreement attached to the communication from His Honor the Mayor dated September 16th, 2021.
So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion by Councilor Turco. On the motion, seeing none, roll call.
Councilors Gould.
Yes?
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Council.
Accept the motion to adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. We are adjourned.